We need to try and shift the boundaries on that. Okay, the UN is, on average, is probably a tendency, you know, if you put it on the spectrum, it's probably slightly left-wing. Yeah. It tends to be that way, but maybe a little bit left than Matt's colleagues in Washington. But then Anne-Marie was fairly expansive in some of her approaches to informality as well. But we are trying to expand that territory a little bit, because I think you can go back as far as you like in history. If you base things purely around property as the element that defines, you are definitely going to end up with some winning groups and some losing groups. And the winning group is going to be a lot smaller than the losing group. So we need to try and shift around. And in the urban context, this fixation on property, I don't think is always going to be viable, particularly the bigger cities get. I was fascinated by a study not long ago showing that it may be very faulty in a number of its methodologies, I admit. The study showed that the very wealthiest countries actually have some of the lowest levels of property ownership. You go to Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, people rent property, they don't own it. And it's way lower than a lot of other countries. So this causal link of I own something, therefore we're more prosperous, that's got to be questioned, and I think the social function aspect can come in. Plus the city's for everybody. I mean, it serves, how that view is it serves a purpose. The city has a function of creating wealth, creating opportunities, supporting culture, all of these different things that aren't just about property independent. If we don't get those right, the city's dysfunctional.
You're the chair.
I think I don't want to build on the 75% idea. But the question is the resident? Is this one person, one vote, or one household, one vote? In fact, since you have this detailed survey, you identify the different rights of different residents of different neighborhoods. It would be possible, but a little more complicated, to assign voting rights in accordance to the defined rights of people. Because let's say I am an owner, I actually pay money to own the land, and Sandra is a renter, and we both have one person, one vote. Then immediately it's kind of contradicting the property right sentiment.
I quite like contradicting property right sentiment.
Try to support.
I am a bit more. That isn't fully defined at that level yet. It will have to be subject to some discussion and negotiation. I am more worried about getting the weighting right in terms of the outcomes, because if you give everybody a say on on that package of outcomes, and then within that, property and versus tenure may have slightly different weighting. You know, it's not going to be that if you own 1,000 square meters versus the guy who's a tenant, you're not both going to get a flat of 100 square meters at the end of it. One's going to get one than the other. That's where the variation you put into property rights should come in. I would argue that the basis of your power to define what the future will look like should not be based on your property holding. I mean, for example, in the US, you guys don't vote based on how much you own the bank. You're going to say you've got 10 presidential votes, or you want okay, I'm tabling it, work on that.
But in actuality, the richer are more influenced already.
Yeah, but I mean, my aim certainly at this stage in the process would be in terms of having a say about agreeing what the outcome will be. I want to keep that as even as possible. But in terms of how the outcome, yeah, obviously there's going to have to be some balance in
the other question is a little bit unfair, and other because we know a little bit more about the project. There is no discussion about the gains. So
significant non-state actors.
I see. nice way to put it. So how would you? I mean, let's say indeed, I don't know about the situation. How influential they are.
I don't think yet we have a good grip on that. I don't know what your feeling is, but my feeling is we don't have a good grip on exactly what their influence is or isn't.
Actually, we know that there are two gangs, but gangs are more the young groups of the area, divided just in the middle where the two buildings were built, and this
Two zones.
the conflict they have between the two young group affect some of the community to go up and down because they are afraid there could happen something to them if they go to the up or down of the community or the lower part.
Which is common in a lot of the neighbourhoods here, of these invisible lines. I mean, I've seen a number of cases in different neighbourhoods. But I'm wondering, I mean, I don't think we have a grip yet on how much influence they are having and will have over the discussion.
Because I really like the way you set up the survey and take into consideration the parameters, which is really very nicely conceived. If indeed somehow the power relations within the communities are being defined according to forces, illegal forces, then you can throw off your well-designed system.
Absolutely. And that's a risk, yeah, no doubt about it. And we have to get a better grip on what that influence really is. I mean, there's certainly an element of payments in the background and things like that. It is an extraction.
I have a comment and a question about that because you told us that there was one of the advantages of this idea or project is that there is a clear request from the community to do something. And perhaps a way to deal with these gangs and these conflicts that are happening is to rely on despite of all these conflicts, we have a real need in this community. They are requesting our support. So we will stick to that request from the community. So the question is, what is that request from the community? What is that, what are they asking you and Navidad or the city to help them?
The request is to the city, not to
It's from the city, it's not from the
No,
community.
it's from the community to the city.
And which is that request? It's about connectivity, it's about security.
The base, as the city have communicated it to us, is that it's effectively a request for upgrading. We want the area to be improved. I haven't got much more specific than that from them. But I mean, that is something that we need to draw out more through the process of saying, from our point of view, based on the enumeration and your needs, here is what we can see that the outcome needs to look like, and then we will get their reactions to that. So it won't be an outcome that we've conjured up, it will be something that's drawn from the evidence they provided, and then we will see in their reactions to that what else comes out. There is definitely, what I can see from what we've got from the team on the ground already, there's a definite conservatism, which I wonder if that's to do with issues of individual security. Because the lease change, it's still kind of somehow controllable. But if we get into something more ambitious urban design options, I wonder what will happen when we get that. But, we'll have to deal with that.
So I think it should, the intervention will create insecurity because there's two group of gangs.
Well, I think when they click on, when they actually see some of the urban design options on the table, I would also expect that gang aspect to get more difficult, because some of them are going to realise, hold on, this may start diluting our control, they think, well, it's still going to be business as usual afterwards, then maybe they won't be bothered. But if they actually see the reshaping of the area, shifts where their invisible lines are, and things like that, then maybe we will. We're having some discussions in the background with guys working on, because in the grand scheme of things, this is not a deeply troubled area. It's not that there are drive-by shootings every day and things like that. But well, you are, but there are some areas with that. And we are talking to partners in other parts of Latin America who do work in more difficult scenarios about if this starts coming up as a major factor, what are the ways of tackling it? Because there are people who are a lot more expert than that than I am. Julia is expert on that.
Yeah, I used to work on this in Rio and Sao Paulo, so there's quite a lot of literature, and I mean, just in my own experience, it's less of the interventions that are getting controlled and what interventions are being proposed, like sanitation wasn't very controversial, but widening the streets and putting in public lighting was very controversial because it would bring in the police. So I also know someone, he's a PhD student at MIT, and he's an architect, and he works in the comunas, all with urban upgrading and violence and the gangs, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with him because that's exactly
Sure,
what
yeah.
this
I mean, we
institution
have projects running in Rio and Sao Paulo now on exactly these issues.
And I worked with you guys like in Rio on it actually, but we wouldn't have it.
No, but I'd be happy. I mean, the more input that we can get on those things, the more we can see what people are doing around that, the better. I don't think anybody's got a silver bullet solution for it at the moment. Sorry, bullet is not the right word.
Regarding the gang, there's a colleague of mine, and she was also talking about how they have to work with gangs, like in projects with El Salvador. They have been really successful. That's what she says, like being very inclusive of what they think. Like the minute that you try to include them in the project, they try to be like very different. Because if you try to like exclude them, then like they try to be very aggressive. But the minute you try to be very polite to them and say that we need your help here and we want you to organize things, they are very, very effective, it seems. But I mean, I can always ask her to.
Well, I think they are including the people, right, in the consultation. You include again the organized people in the society.
Yes, because the conflict comes because of the area is really close to the main bus station, so there is a big parking area, and they use the main road of the community to clean the buses. So there are some business related with that, and the gangs, I don't want to call them gangs because they are just, they control the cleaning buses business. So it's not related with the neighborhood, it's related with the main road that is the limit of the neighborhood. So we are talking with we are already constitute the group of the business that clean the buses, and also we are talking with the owner of the parking area. So we are trying to get involved then in the project and in the decision.